One aspect of Photoshop which people tend to get pretty confused by is the difference between canvas size and image size. The canvas is what your image in Photoshop sits on top of, and adjusting the size of your canvas won't necessarily affect the image, whereas adjusting the image will affect the size of the canvas. Let me show you what I mean. To adjust the size of your canvas, go up to the top and click on Image, and then click on Canvas Size, and here's our Canvas Size dialog box. You can see now that the size of our canvas is 800 by 600, which right now is the size of our image. Now if we adjust these dimensions right here, it will increase or decrease the size of our canvas, but not our image. Let me show you what I mean. We can go ahead and select percent, pixels, inches, any measurement we want. Let's go ahead and select percent, and we want to increase the percent. I'm going to click on relative. We want to increase the size of our width by 50% and the height by 50% as well. We also need to choose our anchor point. If we want our image in the top left corner, we would click the top left anchor point. If we want it in the bottom right corner, we would click on the bottom right anchor point, which means it's going to increase our canvas size by 50% on the left and 50% above. If we choose to have the anchor point in the middle, it will increase the canvas size by 25% on every side. So we're going to go ahead for this example and choose the top left anchor point and then click OK. You'll notice it's increased our canvas size by 50% on the right and 50% on the bottom, and this image is exactly the same size as it was before, 800 by 600. Now let's undo this step, and if we go to Image, Image Size, here we can actually adjust the size of the image, which is 800 by 600. If we increase it by 50% to 150 and constrain the proportions, click OK. It has not only increased the size of our image, but the canvas size as well. One other thing you should take note of, if we go back to our image size dialog box, is constrain proportions down at the bottom. If we have an image which has the ratio of 4 by 3, anything we increase in either the width or the height will constrain those proportions. But if we take constrained proportions off, we can increase the width or the height without affecting the other dimension. But as you'll notice, if I click OK, it makes the image very wonky. It distorts the image a lot. Whereas if we keep it constrained proportions on, the image will retain the same proportions, making the image look somewhat decent. One other thing you should take note of is resolution. Now if you're dealing with images which will only be viewed on the web, you should keep resolution at 72 pixels per inch. But if you're dealing with images which will be eventually printed, you should probably at the minimum set your resolution to 200 pixels per inch. Basically, the higher density of pixels that you have per inch will make for a much cleaner, sharper image when it comes time to print. Now the last thing in this video which I'm going to touch on is rotation. We have the ability in Photoshop to rotate our image and canvas to our liking. If we go to Image, then go down to Rotation, we can choose how we want to rotate our image and canvas. We can rotate it 180 degrees, 90 degrees clockwise, counterclockwise, horizontal or vertical, or we can choose whatever angle we like. So we can rotate it, let's say, 40 degrees clockwise and click OK. And you'll notice it's rotated our image just like that. Now if we don't want the canvas affected, but just the image to rotate, this is how we would do it. Right now in our layers palette, we have our background layer locked to our canvas. We need to double click on this and click OK to make it its own layer so it unlocks from our canvas. Once that's done, we can go to Edit, Transform, and then rotate just like this. 180, 90, or counterclockwise. And it will rotate, keeping our canvas the same as it was before. It will only rotate the image.